Been a while since I've done one of these live streams. I can't remember when the last time it was I went live, maybe like a full month. But your boy DJC is back doing one of these streams. Just want to talk about the upcoming fight between Zhang Weili and Valentina Shevchenko, and of course Tatiana Suarez's fight this coming Saturday, as well as just the rest of the year for MMA, because this last quarter of 2025 for the UFC is probably the strongest half of the year. I don't think we've been this blessed at all throughout the first 2 quarters of the year. What's up, Toron Brown and Flowers? Yes, I'm also rooting for Tatiana Suarez, and I think she has this. Like I think she should win this fight realistically, but you never know. MMA is an unpredictable sport. Some bullshit could happen that could like cause Tatiana to lose, but I believe in her, man. Ain't no room for that negativity or that bad juju. Only positive vibes this weekend. I'm going to get to these comments in a moment. I'm just looking up I'm trying to pull up some tabs that I'm going to use in this live stream real quick. Alrighty. Okay. I'm back. Colostrum, Zhang versus Val is going to be a freaking war. I hope so, man. Well, what I am hoping for is like a one-sided domination in favor of Zhang Weili, because you know how hard I'm praying on Valentina's downfall. Ever since she humiliated Alexa Grasso and dominated her for 5 rounds at Noche UFC, taking her belt, destroying her legacy, she has to pay for what she's done. And then maybe if she loses, I'll forgive her. But I need Val away from that belt. But I'm glad you brought up that fight, because I have a question for this stream. Lemos can't defend takedowns to save her life, it seems. No, she can't. I mean, let's look at Amanda Lemos's like last fight with not her last fight. She actually defended takedowns from Lucindo, but when she fought Mackenzie Dern, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that real quick. Hold on. It's not. Hold on. Hold on a second. UFC 298. I'm trying to find the Google result that's going to have this. That's going to give me the stats I can pull up. But right now, Google's not being helpful. Hold on. This is wasting my time. Okay. Holy crap. How do I find this? Okay, now I can look at the prelims. Okay, there we go. Okay, so, 2 for 2 on takedowns, I guess, isn't as... Maybe I exaggerated how many times Mackenzie Dern took her down. But still, 2 takedowns attempted, 2 takedown. Well, wait, Dern only got 1 takedown entirely? Because from what I remembered watching that fight is Dern had a very successful wrestling game plan. I remember her getting takedowns and control time. UFC, their website is so weird. Sometimes there's takedowns that are clearly takedowns that they won't count, or knockdowns that they're not going to count. But I swear to God, Dern took her down multiple times. Like, I'm not tripping. She couldn't defend takedowns from Dern, got held down, and Dern would have won that fight if she would have fought smart. If Dern would have avoided brawling in that fight and just stuck to takedowns, she wins that fight easily. And then with Weili, I'll have no problem finding how many times Zhang took her down. This should be easy. This should be very easy to pull up right now. 1 second. So Weili took down Lemos 6 times, a total of 6 times out of 7. Now, yes, she did out wrestle Tatiana, but with that fight, she didn't really just out wrestle her or just take her down a bunch of times. What really happened was she defended a lot of Suarez's takedowns, and then for whatever reason, Tatiana would pull guard. I don't know why. Or maybe it's not that she was pulling guard, but she just so happened to end up on bottom because Weili did a great job of stacking up on top of her. Hold on, is this screen sharing? 1 second. There we go. It's right there. 6 takedowns out of 7. If Zhang Weili can take you down this many times, then I'm damn sure that Tatiana can take her down probably more times. So I don't know what the hell MMA Joey's talking about, crapping on Tatiana when he's out here acting like, oh, Tatiana's overrated. Tatiana's, if she loses, it's gonna be so funny if she gets defeated. But it's not gonna happen. It shouldn't happen. Amanda Lemos has weak takedown defense, okay? I mean, let's just look at the stats of the two fighters, if this will actually pull up the fight real quick, or if I have to pull up the event. Wait a minute. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Just pull up the event then. Amanda Lemos has 59% takedown defense. Now, I understand that with Zhang Weili, she had similar stats, and then she stopped like 14 of Tatiana's takedowns and took down Tatiana more than Tatiana was able to take her down. But Amanda Lemos is not Weili, okay? Amanda Lemos isn't as good as Weili, can't wrestle the same, not as physically strong. And I mean, before the Suarez fight, Zhang has been improving her wrestling for years, and wrestling has become one of the biggest weapons of her game since the first Rose fight. She out wrestled Rose in the rematch, dominated Joanna in the wrestling, beat Carla at her own game, and out wrestled Lemos. So she spent 2 years evolving with her wrestling before fighting Tatiana. Lemos has shown me nothing to state that she can go up against the wrestling of Tatiana. All Tatiana has to worry about in this fight is the power of Amanda Lemos. And yes, Lemos does have good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She does have good submission. She does have a good guillotine, which I am a little bit worried about. But as long as Tatiana is smart with how she enters with her takedowns and how she approaches her takedowns, if she doesn't leave her neck open, then she shouldn't get caught in no guillotine or necktie like Weili did, but Weili escaped. And once Tatiana ends up on top, it's literally all Tatiana Suarez. And I think Tatiana will win this fight by a submission. Second round, maybe another guillotine, like how she caught Montana De La Rosa and Jessica Andrade. Or she could win a decision, a dominant decision. But all I know is that Tatiana is going to bounce back, get back in the win column, and hopefully fight for the title in her next fight and get a second shot at the winner of Dern and Jandiroba. Let me get to these comments now. See what everyone here is saying. How do you think Val Zhang plays out on the ground? I will get to that in a moment. Suarez isn't overrated. She was just MIA and people forgot how dangerous she was. Exactly, bro. People just love to hate Tatiana. And dude, the Tatiana Suarez hate is forced and it's cringe, okay? There was a time 7 years ago where everyone used to hype her up when she was undefeated. She smashed Carla, who had her first win over Rose at the time, right? Before beating her twice and becoming champ again. People were like, oh my gosh, she beat Carla. And back then, I didn't see the hype. But now I see the vision. And now, for some reason, the moment I see the vision, other people don't. But literally, people said she was the next big thing in the division. Like, what the hell happened? She has one loss to the best strawweight of all time in Zhang Weili. and now she's not that good. Now anybody can just beat her. I think it's just dumb. I think Tatiana, she needs to win this fight. She's going to win this fight, but she has to remind people. She has to give a y'all must have forgot type of performance. MMA Joey rubs me the wrong way. He gives me prick arrogant vibes. I can totally see that. Yeah, she does have bad fight IQ. I agree. Amanda does. Tatiana is susceptible to guillotine and Mayo. Whaley had her in one, but let go because she couldn't really squeeze from the angle she was in. Yeah, and she probably didn't want to give up like bottom position and end up on her back because going for a guillotine against wrestlers can be very risky, okay? Because if you jump Gilly and you don't get it, you're going to end up on your back. And Whaley was doing so perfect defending takedowns. She already felt Tatiana's top pressure in the first round and wasn't really able to get up till the end. It took her a full 4 minutes to eventually get up from bottom. So she probably realized, I don't want to give this girl top position again and end up on my back again and risk losing a round. Amanda gonna put her lights out. I highly doubt that. I don't see that happening. And again, let's talk about Tatiana Suarez's resume and why she is not overrated. She's 10-1, okay? Her only loss was to Zhang Weili. Only career loss. Before that, she was on an undefeated run, okay? No one was able to stop her. Everyone knew what she wanted to do. No one could stop her. She beat Alexa Grasso, who went on to become the champion 5 years later at flyweight and beat Val. She beat Carla Esparza in dominant fashion. And look, in 4 years, this has been Carla Esparza's run. Sherdog, or the internet's being dumb and not loading up her tab that I'm trying to load up. But look at this. Carla loses to Tatiana and goes on a 6-fight win streak. That win aged beautifully for Tatiana. She made Tatiana look good. And the only person within the next 4 years who was able to beat her was Zhang Weili. So only Weili and Tatiana were good enough to stop Carla Esparza, showing that the top two best girls were Tatiana and Zhang Weili. And they eventually fought each other, and Weili was the one who came out on top, you know, because when you got the two best fighting each other, there can only be one winner. And the Tisha Pennington fight doesn't count because by that point, Carla Esparza was like extremely washed up. But Tatiana literally beat 3 former world champions on her run to the title. And she should have been fighting for the belt way sooner than what she did, okay? She's 34 right now, going to be 35 in December. She should have been champion by age 30, okay? If she didn't have that injury after beating Nina Nunes, she beats Andrade for the title, probably goes on to defend it against Thug Rose or maybe Weili before her wrestling evolved, maybe Joanna. We might be looking at Tatiana with like defenses or a resume with wins over Andrade, wins over Rose, wins over Joanna, wins over Weili in her earlier stages. And Suarez could have been racking up a goated resume by now. But the reality was she gets injured, doesn't fight for 3.5 years, misses so much time in the octagon, so much time passed her by. And in her absence, Rose was able to get the belt back, right? We saw the war between Joanna and Weili. Weili winning the belt twice. Carla getting the belt, one more time. And in this time, Tatiana has been away. And then by the time she's back, Weili is the 2-time champion already. Suarez earns a title shot. But by this point, Weili is like in her absolute best form that she's ever been in. Like peak Weili. And by this point, Tatiana, unfortunately, her chances to beat someone like Zhang completely slimmed. And another thing, Tatiana going into that fight with Zhang hadn't fought for almost 1.5 years, right? She beats Jessica in 2023, is supposed to fight Lemos in early 2024, gets another knee injury, the same knee that was injured in 2021, re-injures itself late 2023, I think, And then she pulls out in January 2024 when she realizes, yeah, I can't fight. I need another surgery. So she's out of action. Okay. So she lost her momentum that she was building in 2023. So by the time she came back, we were not looking at the best version of Tatiana Suarez. We saw a shell of her former self against peak version of Zhang Weili. And you combine that, that was a recipe for disaster. Now, I did pick Tatiana to win that fight against Weili. And yes, there was some bias going into that prediction. But I really believed that Tatiana had the style that it took to take out Weili, because I saw Weili get taken down by Rose and held down, give up control time to Carla Esparza. And I thought, oh, and Yan Xiaonan took her down a couple of times. I thought maybe, just maybe, someone with the level of wrestling of Tatiana could exploit those moments of weakness Tatiana or Weili has showed with her takedown defense and dominate her with her wrestling game and take that title away. I thought she had what it took, but I didn't take into account that, one, Weili is the more well-rounded fighter, but two, Tatiana hasn't fought for another year and has had another surgery. And I didn't take into account that we might not be looking at the best version of Tatiana Suarez. I think that Tatiana, who we saw in 2023, I'm not trying to say for sure she wins against Zhang, although I do think she beats the UFC 300 version, which is unfortunate. But the thing is, I do think that if they fought like in 2023, it's a more competitive fight than what we got in 2025. That's all I'm going to say. And it's going to be interesting to see how Tatiana comes back, this weekend against Amanda Lemos, because she took a really bad loss. She was undefeated. She never had to face adversity in the octagon before, other than maybe that third round against Nina, but she's never had to lose. And she didn't just lose her last fight to Weili. She got dominated in that fight and beat at her own game. That's got to be demoralizing. So I hope mentally Tatiana can come back in gear, not shook from that last fight against Weili. And I hope we see this time the best version of Tatiana. And I hope that she comes back and makes a statement win, gives the performance against Amanda that I know she's capable of giving. All right, let me look at these comments now. Losing to a 35-year-old Zhang Weili is crazy. I mean, Weili, have you not seen what Weili has done throughout her whole career? She's literally dominated the division outside of losing to Rose. 35 or not, it doesn't matter. Amanda Nunes be still dominating her fights at 35. Valentina's 35 and still dominant. So I don't get the argument. Joanna was a bad style for Tatiana, especially in her prime. Well, unfortunately, we'll never know, because Tatiana, we could have seen that fight if she wasn't injured. If Tatiana had been active in for the rest of 2019 going into 2020, we probably could have seen that fight. Jean Silva needs to be humbled. I'm confident Lopez is going to do it. I'm not so confident. BBC Junior, she got that patchy mix striking. Yeah, she got good grappling, but Lemos is good enough to stay safe. Yeah, but Amanda Lemos doesn't have good takedown defense. Obviously, Tatiana has never been good in the stand-up. That's never been a secret, but her wrestling has always been her bread and butter. That's where she's always been dominant. And that's where Lemos has always been weakest. So I don't get what you're getting at here. Only way Tatiana gets stopped in this fight or hurt is if she charges recklessly at Amanda Lemos. That's what a lot of her stoppages depend on, is if girls are stupid and run at her, like Mackenzie Dern. And Tatiana's just not going to brawl. She's going to keep that. She's going to post those long arms, move her feet, keep Lemos at the end of her long kicks, keep that distance. And when the opening for a takedown presents itself, Tatiana will capitalize. She'll seize the opening and get it. And then from there, Lemos is not getting back to her feet and she's going to get dominated. Anyway, someone asked me a question about how do you think Zhang Weili um, versus Valentina plays out on the ground? I hope you're still on this stream, Colostrum. I think that on the ground, that's an interesting one because they're both really good on the ground. Both can wrestle. I honestly kind of feel like it might favor Wei Li. Like if Zhang Wei Li, if she can hold Valentina Shevchenko down, which is a big if, I think there's a lot she can do on the ground with Shevchenko. I think there's a lot of dominant positions she could advance to against Val. And we've seen Valentina get her back taken before. And we've seen Wei Li take people's backs several times. But then again, we've also seen Wei Li lose position when jumping on the back, like against Rose. She went on Rose's back, lost position, and then lost the round because of it. I think it was like the 4th round. So, yeah, honestly, the ground fighting is kind of a coin toss to me. Like, it's actually going to be very interesting to see how the grappling plays out. But this begs the question, chat, where does Wei Li win this fight? I want to know. I want to know, how does Wei Li win? Where does she win this fight? Where does she win this fight against Valentina Shevchenko? Because the only true path to victory I see is unironically on the ground. Like what Kolostrom said when he asked me, how do I see the ground game playing out? I do think Wei Li has an advantage in the wrestling, but she has to be physically good enough to use that wrestling. Because if she shows up smaller, weaker, I doubt she's going to be able to effectively out-wrestle Shevchenko. Because I already think she's technically outmatched. I think she's outmatched in the stand-up. Like, I don't think she wins in the striking against Valentina Shevchenko. And I think she needs to be able to take her down, and then she needs to be able to keep her down. That is the only way she wins this fight. But if Valentina is stronger, Valentina is going to be in control when it comes to grappling exchanges too. And if that's the case, Valentina might dominate this fight. Let's see. Speaking of a y'all, okay, I already read this. I don't really see how Diego. I mean, I don't want to say I don't see how he wins. He does have a puncher's chance, but Jean Silva's striking is like way better than Lopez's striking. Faster, slicker, good counters to deal with that blitz of Diego Lopez. Lopez is open, poor defense. Lopez's like biggest advantage in this fight is literally on the ground. That's it. I think on the feet, unless he lands something, he gets absolutely tuned up. Depends on who lands on top. Yeah, my thoughts exactly, Zaman. Whoever ends up on top, I guess, will have the advantage on the ground. Both are bad from their backs. Well, I actually do think Valentina is more effective from bottom than Wei Li. Wei Li's got short legs, which don't help her. But Valentina, off her back, is very good at controlling posture, landing strikes from bottom, and she'll threaten subs. Like when Tyler Santos was in her full guard, like I think Valentina was like able to get the rubber guard, was threatening like a triangle choke. And Valentina did armbar Juliana Pena. So off her back, I do think she's actually better than Wei Li. Better question is who has better wrestling. I think Wei Li has better wrestling for sure. For sure. Wei Li's better with her wrestling. Now, I'm not saying Val can't wrestle, but from what I've seen from Wei Li, like the style of takedown she would go for in her fights and that she'd complete, I definitely think she has the edge over Valentina Shevchenko. I think striking, Valentina all day. Clinching, I give the slight edge to Val as well. She's very strong in the clinch, very good at controlling you against the cage, landing strikes from in the clinch. Jiu-jitsu, it's even. Wrestling, it's Whaley, I think. Fight IQ, game planning, I give the edge to. It's close, but I give the edge to Valentina Shevchenko. But who wins overall? Like, my pick for 6 years has always been Valentina Shevchenko. I've always thought that Valentina would win this fight. I'm like just not as confident though as I was, in those past 6 years because I've seen Whaley evolve over time. I've seen her get better. I've seen her get more dominant in her fights, and I've seen Val kind of plateau a little bit. So I do think Whaley has a better chance now than what she had when she first started calling out Val, which was like 2019. But UFC 315, or sorry, not 315, 322 has a chance to be one of the most historic nights in UFC history. Like, I feel like if Valentina and Jack wins, it's just going to be another night in MMA. And I mean, it's still going to be huge if JDM beats Islam and if Valentina beats Wei. But we've seen Valentina win so many times in the last decade. She's only lost that one time to Alexa Grasso. Um, you know, we've not seen Islam win 2 belts before. We've not seen 2 champions in one night, become double champion. We've never seen that happen. And that would be a first. And that's what I want to talk about in this live as well. Is, are we about to see history get made? Because I don't think we've ever seen a night where we witnessed 2 fighters have their double coronation, becoming double champion. I don't think we've ever seen it. Every double champ we've ever seen, it's always been their own story on their own card. Nunes became double champ. There was no other champ versus champ fight on that same card. When DC became double champ, there was no other champ versus champ fight on that card. When John also became double champ, I mean, he wasn't light heavyweight champ by that point, but you get the point. There was no one else on that card fighting for double champ status. When George St. Pierre challenged for double champ status, there was no other champion on that card challenging for a second belt. Okay, this would be a first. And when Cejudo challenged for double champ status, there was no other champion on that card doing the same thing. So if Whaley and Islam wins, this will be one of the most historic, unprecedented events in UFC history. I'm telling you. And I hope it happens. I do hope that both can pull it off. Now I hope, but will it happen? Well, we have exactly 2 months to find out. And man, this last quarter of the year is so perfect. Like, I just hope that no one gets injured, man. Because whenever we have so many good cards back to back, it's like, there's a risk that something could go sideways, right? There's a risk that things could fall through. Like, there's a risk that things might not go according to plan. But I'm going to pull up all these pay-per-views and share my screen on them one by one. So we got UFC 320, which is in 4 weeks. Okay. It could be this month, but the UFC chose to have no pay-per-views in September. This pay-per-view is so stacked, man. And could you imagine if we lose Prohaska versus Roundtree or Marab versus Sandhagen or this rematch. That would be sad. And then we also have UFC 321, another good card. I don't know why they're not showing Umar Nurmagomedov versus oh yeah, they're showing it on here. Never mind. I just don't think it's actually going to be this low on the pay-per-view. But look at this card. Umar versus Bautista, Rakic versus Mirzakhanov, Volkov versus Almeida, Jandiroba versus Dern 2, Aspinall versus Gain, and then the one that everyone's looking forward to, the best of them, is this one. And that would suck if we were to lose one of these fights. And that's the risk when it's like you have a stretch that looks so perfect. There's just a strong chance that the MMA gods could pull the plug on us. All right, let's see. I think Shev will start quick. She's always super sharp at the beginning, but eventually she always has mental lapses, and against Wei Li, it might be very costly. That's kind of interesting. And are you saying this because of how sharp she looked early against Manon, but then the fight got closer the longer it went, or even the first Grasso fight where she lost round one, won round 2 and 3 comfortably, but then got subbed in the fourth? But I don't know. In this fight, I do think that Wei Li's going to be the one that starts strong. And Shevchenko is the one who's going to adapt and do better as the fight goes on. And win as the fight goes on. That's my prediction. But I could also see Wei Li getting finished as well, because she does get hit a lot, and Valentina is very sharp and very precise with her striking. And that damage, it could add up. For some reason, I think JDM will beat Islam Makhachev. It's possible. I mean, right now, I'm very on the fence about this fight. I don't know who's going to win. I want to say Islam, but JDM looked really good in his last fight against Bilal Muhammad. Showed great takedown defense, improved takedown defense. Looked extremely hard to hold down. And Islam has struggled to hold down certain opponents like Volkanovski. Poirier was able to escape from bottom, I think, quite a few times when they fought. Now, I do think JDM does present similar problems to Islam that Poirier and Volk did. The similarities to Poirier is the boxing and power, except I do think JDM is an even better boxer than Dustin with even more power. And then Volk, I think it's just the scrambling ability, the defensive wrestling, the ability to get back to his feet. That makes him kind of similar to Volkanovski. Plus the training under Craig Jones and the submission defense. So I don't know. We'll see. Because I could see a scenario where Islam goes out there, does what Islam does best, gets an Islam Makhachev takedown, gets lots of control time, dominates on the ground, mauls JDM, maybe gets a first or second round sub. But then there could also be a possibility that JDM is able to defend a lot of takedowns, more takedowns than he does give up. Or that he is able to survive on the ground and frustrate Islam and get back to his feet and force a boxing match on Makhachev, and then eventually maybe finds the chin and puts him away, or just outboxes him to a decision win. Every outcome in this fight is very possible. I got Islam. I have a hunch it might turn into Khamzat DDP 2.0. Islam got too much variety in his takedown arsenal combined with his footwork. Yeah, that is true, and I will say that he's better with his wrestling than Bilal Muhammad. And Bilal, even though he did shoot 9 takedowns, he didn't really force the wrestling. Bilal was very content to try and show off his improved hands, which his hands did look improved, but I think he was trying to prove a point that he could beat JDM at his own game, which was stupid. I don't think Bilal Muhammad fought a very smart fight against Jack Della Maddalena. What's up, No Filter? I just think Bilal fought with just ego and pride, and it costed him. But Makhachev, he's a smarter fighter than Bilal, more disciplined, and he's just better everywhere. A better striker, more power, and better wrestling. I see the opposite. I see Shev establishing her range and boxing up Weili, but fading later. Okay, so then who do you see winning then? Who do you see winning the fight? That's an interesting breakdown. That's a very interesting breakdown you got there. Like a Val decision, kind of like the Manon fight, or what? Or do you think Weili pulls it off? Because who knows? It's possible. Weili does have a very solid chance to pull this off. If Islam does beat Jack Della Maddalena, I believe his biggest threat in the division will be Shavkat Rakhmonov. I agree. Man, I'm so pissed for Shavkat Rakhmonov, man. Like, he should have got a shot at the title. He was going to fight Bilal Muhammad, and then Bilal pulls out, and then instead of making that fight for interim with Ian Gary, they make it non-interim title fight. So Shavkat wins that fight for nothing. No interim belt. Then he can't fight Bilal in May because he's injured. So then Jack gets the shot. And then in that time, Islam moves up, and now Shavkat's not getting a shot at the title. And now Shavkat has to take another fight. And it sucks because I do think that Rakhmonov was going to be the champion. If Bilal didn't get injured, I do think Shavkat was going to win the belt. He would have got there before Jack Della Maddalena did. And you know what? We might in a different universe, in a different timeline, we could be talking about Islam fighting Shavkat for the belt right now. But instead, this is what we got, which is very unfortunate. Zaman, who do you got winning between Valentina and Weili? For me, I'm leaning Shevchenko, and I'll probably end up picking Islam in the end anyway. We'll see. I might go with Islam because of lighter man's skill. Lighter man's skill, the wrestling advantage. And Islam, he might just show up a better version of himself than what we saw in the lightweight division. And I know Islam has been bulking to make this transition over to 170 so he doesn't show up as a small welterweight. So he doesn't look like a lightweight fighting a welterweight. And Islam in welterweight form might actually be one of his scariest forms, actually. And I could see Makhachev catching JDM in a sub in like a transition. The way he caught Moicano, he could catch JDM the same way. And I do think the striking is also very competitive too. Islam is very underrated on the feet, very good defensively, way harder to hit than Bilal Muhammad. And he does have good hands too. And JDM, he does get hit. Bilal was landing. And I do think that Islam is going to land with more fury than what Bilal was able to land. And I noticed one thing that Jack Della Maddalena does when he's like defending takedowns, he keeps a high guard, but then he will also duck his head down at the same time. And now he's good at moving his head out of range to avoid knees, but I still think Islam could capitalize on that. Because then maybe he can get the front headlock and pull JDM on his knees, tie up that neck. Or maybe he could find a way to knee JDM up the middle or down the middle before JDM can move his head out of the way. Mine says Shev should win, but Hunch says trajectories and Shev's decline and Whaley's constant improvements might just cross enough. Yeah, I can see that. And that's kind of my thoughts exactly for this fight is I think that Valentina Shevchenko is declining and Whaley's getting better. But Valentina might just be just ahead of the curve just enough to still be able to beat Weili Zhang, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't make sense, actually. Basically what I'm trying to say is I don't know if Weili will be evolved enough to take out the bullet. And I want to say that she is or will be. I wish Islam would use his stand-up more. It's pretty good. I mean, we saw a lot of his stand-up when he fought Volkanovski in the first fight. And when he also fought Dustin Poirier, there was a lot of boxing exchanges in that fight. And we saw it quite a bit when he fought Du Bronx as well. I feel like actually a lot throughout Islam's title reign, we've seen a lot of striking from him. Against Oliveira was probably the most grappling heavy fight we've seen out of him. But when he fought Volkanovski, because Volkanovski's takedown defense was like so good and he kept getting up every time, it forced Islam to go to his plan B and exchange with Volk. And he had a lot of success on the feet. And then the rematch knocked him out in the stand-up with the head kick. And against Poirier, he was wrestling a lot, but Poirier's resilience to the grappling and ability to get back to his feet did force Islam to also go to his plan B and box with Dustin. And then against Moicano, I'll say like we saw more grappling out of him and less striking because it was short notice. Didn't prepare to strike with Moicano. Didn't prepare for Moicano at all. So he just went straight to what he knew. Easy takedown and got an easy first round finish. I hope JDM gets custom shorts. He probably will. I mean, most champions end up getting custom shorts anyway. So it's 50-50 for me, just how odds are saying. But betting strategy wise, it's simple for me. Shev pre-fight, then hedge Weili live during the fight. I think what's up, MMA Art? I think Islam is planning to retire. He will probably win the second belt and retire immediately. There's a lot of dangerous fighters in the division. Islam's team won't take the risk of losing. I mean, that would be pretty smart, you know. Get this last ever career win against Jack, who gets a lot of hype. Get that second belt. And I mean, from there, there's really nothing left for Islam to accomplish. And that would definitely be a good way to protect his legacy. I mean, George St. Pierre retired when he won the second belt, didn't risk, fighting Whitaker next, kept his legacy intact. So Islam could definitely do something similar, but Islam has also talked about wanting to fight Ilia Topuria. And that might be a fight that he chases next. Maybe Ilya might have enough incentive to want to move up to 170 and fight Makhachev. And that might be a fight they're building towards if Islam beats Jack Della Maddalena. Let's see. Not necessarily. Roundtree wasn't a champion when he wore custom shirts, and Chandler was neither. Well, I'm not saying custom trunks are champ exclusive, but I'm saying lately it seems to be a trend that champions are wearing black and gold. Like it seems like black and gold is out of style and custom trunks are taking over. But yes, some non-champions will wear custom. But I do think it's more than likely that JDM will wear custom shorts. I wonder what color shorts Tatiana's gonna wear this weekend because I know Noche UFC, they have a certain design for the trunks. There's like a certain design they go with. It's like they have their custom design for the event, and then the colors they go with is green, black, and red. So I know Tatiana usually wears blue, but this weekend that's not going to be an option. You think she's going to wear blue in the Noche design? Well, whatever she wears, we're going to find out today when they post the photo shoot. They should give Silva Lopez custom shorts. They're gonna wear whatever shorts are available to them for the event. So Lopez will probably wear green, and Jean Silva will probably wear red. Because I remember last year, Norma Dumont, a Brazilian who usually wears yellow, wore red against Irene Aldana. So Lopez will probably wear his traditional Mexican green colors. We'll see though, or maybe they'll do Jean in black. Maybe. I wish UFC never got rid of sponsored shorts. Yeah, same here, man. I miss when fighters had freedom to just wear whatever the heck they wanted. Yeah, they got to give us a UFC 322 press conference cuz that is a huge event. And usually with events that big, they will usually give us early press conferences. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to touch on in this live. WMMA Act. Why the hell is this guy so hard to find in the search tab? Whenever I want to find this idiot, all I can see is, oh, I hate dogs. I don't know why he had to turn that leaf. Like, nobody cares about your hatred towards dogs, bro. Like, WMMA Addict is such a freaking goof. Okay, if I search history, I'll probably find exactly what I'm looking for. But it's WMMA Addict. It was a live streamer. He was talking about Valentina and Wei Lee, and he was shitting on Tatiana Suarez, doing exactly what MMA Joey was doing. But this weekend, people are gonna remember. People are gonna realize, wow, That's why Tatiana had all this hype. But basically, Women MMA Addict was saying that he doesn't see Tatiana touching that belt, which fair enough. A lot of people do see Verna and Dern as bad matchups, which I could see it. But where he lost me was when he said, "Oh, I don't even think she gets past Yan Xiaonan," and I'm like, "Bro, are you kidding me? She easily gets past Yan Xiaonan, bro. Are you dumb?" Okay, I found it. Seems like a lot of Brazilian fighters wear yellow shorts. Yeah, they do. That's kind of a tradition. Also, I wonder what Natalia Silva is gonna do because she's not getting a title shot. I wonder if we're gonna see Natalia like take a fight or what. Is she gonna take a fight? Is she gonna what is she gonna do? Or is she just gonna wait? How many takedowns in total did Verna even get? Yeah, people are saying she has great takedown defense because she stopped takedowns from Yasmin Lucindo, which is so dumb.
White
Hold on.
is sitting there with his fingers crossed in hopes that Mackenzie wins the fight. Please don't let anything like that happen. Please. Um, Now, what's going to happen with Natalia Silva?
Yeah, that's my
Is my
question too,
question.
but this is not what I'm looking for.
What are they going to do with her? Is she going to have another fight? I don't think she should. Now, maybe she wants it. If she wants a fight, go ahead. Really matter to Natalia Silva at this point? And it's still getting hotter. How crazy is that? So no more Whaley at 115. And let me tell you something else. I don't think Suarez is going to get that strap. Nope. I'd take Burn over Suarez in a heartbeat. Yes, I would. Let me tell you something else. I'd probably take Jan over Suarez.
And this is where I'm going to stop this idiot. This is where I'm going to stop this idiot. Hold on. I thought I shared. Wait, did I just share this? I thought I shared the screen. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Y'all heard that, right? Yeah, this guy literally said I would take Jan over Suarez. Like, really, nigga? Really? Why Yan Xiaonan? Let me play that again. Let me play that again. WMMA addict. That's who I'm reacting to. That idiot. Hold on. Let's play that back again. See how stupid this guy sounds.
That came true a while ago. And it's still getting hotter. How crazy is that? So no more Whaley at 115. And let me tell you something else. I don't think Suarez is going to get that strap. Nope. I'd take Burn over Suarez in a heartbeat. Yes, I would. Let me tell you something else. I'd probably take Jan over Suarez. Oh, yes. And notice Suarez has not fought many fighters
Because she had
at
injuries from
115.
them.
Okay? She hasn't fought Amanda Lemos yet.
She's gonna fight her this weekend.
She hasn't fought Mackenzie Dern yet.
She'll
She
fight her
hasn't
after she
fought
beats.
really anybody in the division.
Hasn't fought anyone. This nigga's stupid, bro. She hasn't fought anybody in the division. What is this guy talking about? Hasn't fought anybody in the division. Is this guy forgetting? She fought Carla Esparza, okay, and Carla went on a 6-fight win streak and became a 2-time champion. And Carla's not a nobody. She fought Alexa Grasso, who went on to be somebody. Fought Jessica Andrade, and I know Andrade is a washed-up veteran, but she's still very dangerous. It still does count as a good win, okay? And she fought Zhang Weili, the champion. So she's fought a good amount of people. Now, yeah, she didn't fight Dern, she didn't fight Joanna, she didn't fight Thug Rose. There are probably a lot of other fights left on the table, but that's not her fault. That's not her fault. And I agree. Verna, it's understandable. But Yan Xiaonan, this is where it gets ridiculous. This is where it gets ridiculous because Yan Xiaonan, Let's talk about Yan Xiaonan, the girl who cannot wrestle. Literally, that's the biggest weakness in her game. Okay? She gets taken down by every good grappler she faces. Every single competent grappler she goes up against, she loses to. How can you see this? She gives up like 3 out of 11 takedowns. That's actually a lot of takedowns defended. But she spent a lot of time on bottom in that fight. A lot of time on bottom against Verna Jandiroba, okay? That's a lot of time on the ground, a lot of time off her back against Verna Jandiroba. And Tatiana is a better wrestler than Jandiroba. And then let's go back to the Weili fight. Weili took her down 6 times out of 9 attempts, okay? And then let's look back at the Carla Esparza fight. Carla took her down 3 times out of 3 times. And this is the girl that WMMA addict, stupid WMMA addict would take over Tatiana Suarez. This just shows the level of bias that goes against Tatiana from these people. And I just don't get it. This is why I'm saying the Tatiana Suarez hate, it's forced. It's so forced. It makes no sense. People underrating Tatiana Suarez makes no sense at all. I don't understand why people don't give Tatiana the respect she deserves. And because she loses one fight out of 10 fights before that were undefeated prior, one fight out of 10 or one fight out of 11, all of a sudden she's trash. All of a sudden just anybody beats her now. It's ridiculous. Well, she fought better fighters, finished both Andrade and Carla, who beat Verna and Lemos. There you go. And look, Carla Esparza beat Verna Jandiroba, okay? Who, WMMA addict says that he'd take over Suarez, right? And let's see what else. Carla also dominated and finished Yan Xiaonan. You didn't see that happen to Tatiana. You didn't see Tatiana off her back in the crucifix position. Yan Xiaonan is a great striker, but she's 35, 36 years old, so late into her career, and it's already blatantly obvious that she'll never be able to close that gap, which is her wrestling. The holes in her wrestling, I just don't think it's going to be fixed this late into her career. She's not improved enough to where I think she can beat Tatiana Suarez. I'm sorry. And there was someone else earlier in this stream saying that Verna Jandiroba Lemos is going to put the lights on at Tatiana Suarez. BBC Junior, a man are going to put her out. Losing to a 35-year-old Zhang is crazy, which that is an extremely dumb argument. She's got that Patchy Mix striking. Patchy Mix is known to be a better striker than Tatiana, by the way. She got good grappling, but Lemos is good enough to stay safe. Lemos by round 2 TKO. But based off what? What has she shown that she's good enough to stay safe? Getting taken down 6 times by Weili Zhang and getting taken down and held down and subbed by Verna Jandiroba. What has she shown? Getting standing arm triangled by Jessica Andrade? These people are so dumb, man. Weili probably is her best version at age 35. Facts, bro. I don't think there's any shame in losing to Weili, who's 35, when literally no one else since Weili was 31 has been able to beat her. Just Rose. And twice. But this is why Tatiana needs to win. You're right. She ain't shown shit. You're absolutely right. But this weekend, it's a redemption story for Tatiana Suarez. And I may have been wrong. I may have been wrong about Tatiana, becoming the champion, right? I may have predicted wrong about her beating Zhang Weili, right? That's a huge miss on my part. I didn't get that prediction correct, and that's okay. I can't be right all the time. But I am very confident that she's going to get back in the win column this weekend. And you know what I think's going to happen after she beats Amanda Lemos? People are still going to avoid giving her credit. I feel like a lot of fans will be like, yeah, but she just beat Amanda Lemos. She's still not that good. They'll probably say, one, she doesn't deserve a title shot, but two, they'll probably say, well, she's not going to win even if she does get a shot. But, let people think what they want. That's the thing about haters, is you can never impress them. They'll always find something to nitpick. People are going to be surprised how easily she smokes Lemos. She's going to drag her down and finish her in the first round. That's interesting. I remember originally you said she was going to win by a decision. But I do agree. I do see a finish. I did dream that as well a couple years ago. And here's the interesting thing about the dream that I had. So I remember like in August of 2023, I dreamt, not in the same night, but I remember having two vivid dreams. Dreams that, okay, one, Yuri Prohaska knocked out Jamal Hill. Now, this was right after Jamal Hill had just vacated his title because he was injured. So Yuri and Hill obviously wasn't the next fight. It was Pereira. It was Pereira Yuri that was next, but I dreamt Yuri and Hill. And Yuri Prohaska in my dream mauled Jamal Hill and he knocked him out. Not in the third, it was the second round in the dream, but he finished him. And then this fight took place after Yuri Prohaska failed to get the belt back in the rematch against Pereira. He loses to Pereira again by head kick KO. Then his next fight is against Jamal Hill, where he wins. He wins that fight. He knocks out Jamal, like my dream, to redeem himself from that loss. And August of 2 years ago, I dreamt that Tatiana, this was after she beat Jessica, before she fought Weili, I dreamt that she subbed Lemos in the first round. And now in 2025, her redemption fight is Amanda Lemos. That might be fate. We'll see. But you're saying people are going to be surprised. People shouldn't be surprised. If people are surprised, if you are surprised that Tatiana is able to dominate Lemos, then you're a fucking casual. I'm sorry. That's just like if Edwards beat Carlos, haters won't give him credit either. Probably not, but I don't know. I don't even know if he's even going to beat Carlos Prates, to be honest. I mean, he has a good chance, similar chances to what Ian Gary had. It's actually very possible that he might win. But I got Prates by KO. After watching Lemos Verna, man, it's an easy fight for Tatiana. Of course it is. And I'm going to watch that fight after this stream. But I remember watching that fight last year and being like, wow, this is such a easy fight for Verna. And when I saw Verna sub her, I'm like, bruh, Tatiana would have subbed this girl. And I remember I talked to Tatiana after the fight. I DM'd her. I'm like, this is what you would have done to Amanda Lemos. And she's like, yeah, I could armbar her, but I prefer chokes. So we're going to see her choke Lemos the fuck out. Though I don't think the Leon hate is forced, though, like the Tatiana hate. Leon gets hate because he had a very boring fight against Colby Covington, a shell of Colby Covington. The last fight of 2023, of the 30-year anniversary, and this is how you close out the year. And this guy, talked about your deceased father and this is how you fight him. And he was just a very inactive champion as well. So I think that's why people don't like him. I feel people have less of a reason to hate Tatiana, though. I feel like the reason why people hate Tatiana Suarez is because a lot of people are Weili fans. And a lot of people don't like that this person, a lot of people felt how I felt as a Rose fan. Like in 2018, I hated when everyone said that Tatiana was going to beat Rose and dominate her. So I could imagine that's how a million Weili fans felt. And when they saw that Tatiana was the favorite to win, everybody was pissed off. And everyone could not wait to have a field day once Tatiana had lost that fight so they could say, I told you so. And when Tatiana lost as easily as she did, it created this false illusion that, oh, Tatiana is just not that good. See, she was never a good fighter. And I also think the injuries and inactivity of Suarez kind of gave fans amnesia. I think it made people forget how good she was. Because when you don't fight for 4 years is a long time. And fans have short-term memories and people move on. Life moves on. The division, it moved on. Thanks, Emmy. The division and life and fans moved on without Tatiana. So in that time, people are like, Tatiana who? Who is this Tatiana person? Why do we care? And then she came back and people were like, meh. Okay, she subbed De La Rosa, but De La Rosa's a bum, which is true. Okay, she subbed Jessica Andrade, but Andrade is washed, which is true. So by the time she came back, not many people were that sold on her. And many people were already sold on the active contenders in the division, like Yan Xiaonan, like Dern, like Jandiroba, but not this Suarez girl. So nobody cared to see Tatiana fight for the belt. And when they saw her get her shot off of another layoff, like 2 years, and she was the favorite, that pissed a lot of people off. And I think that's why people hate her. But even then, I think it's ridiculous. Like, Tatiana didn't choose to be the favorite. Like, don't blame Tatiana. Blame the odds makers. I don't think a majority of these fans care about MMA fighters not liking them. I mean, as they shouldn't. Injuries stopped Suarez from evolving. I didn't expect Suarez to fight again so soon, to be honest. If she can fight more consistently and stay healthy, she can definitely evolve. I totally agree. And I love the fact that she's fighting again this year. I love the fact that, she's turning around, I think like 7 months later after losing to Weili. She's staying active. She's staying on the grind. She's not sitting idle. She's not sitting dormant after this loss. Like, the worst thing she could have done is not fight for another year after losing this fight. But she's coming back. She's staying active. And like you said, if she can stay healthy, we could see the best Tatiana come back. I really don't believe we saw the best Tatiana in that last fight against Weili, which is unfortunate. And then you know what's funny? Speaking of evolution, I remember telling myself that when Tatiana was out for those 4 years, that, Tatiana Suarez, she's evolving. She's going to improve her striking. And then she came back. She did make some subtle improvements that fans do ignore, but she didn't improve in the way that I thought she might, But I think how she improved, as shown in the fight against Andrade, is she's a little more patient now. She doesn't force the wrestling exchanges the way she used to. She times her takedowns better. She usually chooses now position over submission instead of submission over position. The old Tatiana would risk a dominant position to get a sub, right? Although she does dive gilly, and that could risk her being on bottom, actually. But something about her just seemed different when she fought Andrade. The way she paced herself, the way she didn't panic, especially when she was on the feet. She was very patient on the feet. Didn't shoot a takedown like the first 5 seconds of the fight. That's how she used to fight. She used to kind of take a Khamzat approach where she'd come out, shoot a takedown, get that takedown, and then dominate, right? But against Andrade, she took her time. She felt her out, got comfortable on the feet, kicked that range, and then took an opportunity to go for a takedown when it presented itself, and she got it. The only thing Suarez does well on the feet is control distance with her kicks, but that's about it. Yeah, unfortunately though, her hands are something she'll probably never improve at, which I wish Tatiana had good hands, bro. Like, could you imagine Tatiana with good boxing? She'd be a nightmare to deal with for all of these girls. Like, Tatiana is kind of like John Jones in how uncomfortable she is when it comes to boxing. But then even again, John Jones is more comfortable throwing hands than Tatiana. So that's not even a valid comparison. But Tatiana, she fought twice in 2023. She's going to have fought twice in 2025. I hope that we're going to see Tatiana fight twice in 2026. Because the more active, the better. Because the more active she is, fans will finally shut the hell up about her being inactive and barely fighting. And I think the more she fights and the more she wins, the more fans are going to be forced to respect her. Like, the more fans will be forced to put respect on her name. Suarez could improve her boxing if she's healthy and active. She's not been able to evolve because of her inactivity and injuries. Yeah, that's true, but I have seen her work on her mittens a lot, or her mitts a lot. On mitts, do a lot of mitt work. I don't know why I said mittens. But I've seen her do a lot of pad work, so I can tell she's definitely trying to work on her boxing. But when it comes fighting that against Amanda Lemos, I don't even want to see her try to experiment with boxing in that fight. Don't even give Lemos a split-second chance. It's because Weili is loved by casuals, exactly, and that's why people hate on Tatiana Suarez. Because how dare anyone believe that Suarez could beat her? How dare anyone believe that? Okay, let's see. Yeah, Suarez shouldn't box with Lemos. She should use her kicks to keep her distance and shoot takedowns when Lemos overcommits. Exactly. And that's what I was actually trying to get at with Tatiana's improvements. Because against Andrade, she kept her distance with her kicks, stayed on the outside, and then whenever Andrade would overstep, then she'd take her down. And the old Tatiana would just shoot for the legs right away, wouldn't even give you a chance on the feet, and she just looks so uncomfortable with everything she did. You could tell it's like, I have to get this fight to the ground. I have to force the wrestling. You don't see Tatiana now in that state of panic of, I got to get you down right away. She can afford to kind of stand with you for a little bit and force you to overcommit, and then she can let her takedowns flow the way they need to. And that's actually pretty beneficial for Tatiana's style. Yeah, but if she tries to box with Lemos, it's going to be so stupid, and it's not going to end well. Yeah, and I'm not saying like stand for long against Lemos. I mean, by all means, she should probably go back to her old ways of shooting for a takedown in the first 5 seconds of the fight. And it's actually going to be interesting to see how she approaches like the opening minute of the fight, because against Wei Li, how that fight started, she kind of kicked at her at range, would move around, and then like the moment Zhang Wei Li and Tatiana collided, then Tatiana took advantage and was able to like throw her down. And she might do something similar when she fights Lemos. That's what's so disappointing though, is she got an easy takedown in the first round. Easy first round takedown, and can never take her down again for the rest of the fight. And that's the sad part, because I was so confident when I was watching that fight. I'm like, this is exactly what I predicted. This is exactly what I was telling these fans. I was like about to have a I told you so moment. And then tragedy has to strike in round two. The worst possible outcome that could possibly happen happened. She shoots for a takedown in round two against the cage. Now here I am thinking, okay, she's gonna take Wei Li down, but Wei Li's putting up more resistance than what I expected. I'm like, oh shit, she's actually kind of tough to take down. Okay, but Suarez will get her down anyway. And then I see Tatiana fall into mount, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I had noticed she has like a cut on her knee, and I'm like, well, damn, she cut her knee against the fence. And once I realized she injured herself mid-fight, I knew she was done. I'm like, yeah, she's not gonna win this fight. She's done. She can't, if her knee is done, she's not gonna be able to wrestle properly the way she needs to. And then she's gonna be forced to strike with Wei Li and get beat up on the feet. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, she did, because she spent a lot of time holding down Wei Li, who's very strong, and she worked very hard to keep her down as well. And actually, that's the difference between her fight with Andrade and her fight with Wei Li. Is against Andrade, she didn't really try to force holding Andrade down as much. She was actually willing to let Jessica work her way back to her feet so she could take her down again. And I can actually explain why. It's not that she couldn't hold Jessica down or Jessica has better get up ability than Wei Li. That's not the case. It's that Wei Li is a more dangerous striker than Jessica Andrade. And I think Tatiana knew that. And I think she knew, I had this takedown. I cannot let her get back up for a split second. I am winning this round. I got to keep it this way. Whereas against Andrade, all she had to worry about were just some looping hooks and haymakers. That's it. That's literally all Jessica Andrade has. So she knew, I can play it safe on the feet and kick her at range and still win, even on the feet. I can still win in striking if I'm not taking her down. Whereas against Wei Li, she knew, I have to keep it down or I'm cooked. And I think that's why she gassed out so hard. Yeah, I know. She didn't really do much. And the reason why she didn't is because Whaley did so good defensively from bottom. And, you know, she had to focus on control over just opening up on the ground. Uh, I mean, I don't think she has cardio problems necessarily. I just think like what went into that fight is against Wei Li, she hadn't fought in like nearly 2 years, so her cardio probably wasn't up to speed. She had a perfect first round, and put a lot of energy into trying to hold Wei Li down, someone who's that strong. And when you're using that much energy to try to hold someone down, that can be taxing for anybody. And then plus, she wasn't just gassed out; she hurt her knee in the second round, so she was kind of helpless from there. But we'll see how her cardio looks this weekend because her fight with Amanda, we'll see if that fight goes anywhere past 2 rounds. I mean, if this fight does go into the third, could that be Lemos's best shot? I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think it'll take as much energy to keep Lemos down as it did to keep down someone like Wei Li. And if she doesn't slice her knee against the cage, she should be okay. And even Tatiana herself will tell you her cardio is not even really an issue. So, yeah, she was just holding her down, but the thing is, she was using energy trying to hold her down. She wasn't just resting. Like Whaley was moving beneath her. It's kind of like Nunes versus Pena 1, even though Nunes was recovering from COVID. Juliana was constantly scrambling beneath Amanda Nunes, kind of making Nunes work as Nunes. Even though Nunes wasn't ground and pounding her, Nunes still got tired because she was trying to hold Pena in place from beneath her. So it's the same perspective of Tatiana Suarez. It's like she's trying to maintain control, trying not to let Whaley back up. Whaley's trying to get up versus Suarez is trying to keep her down. If Weili like offered no resistance from bottom and was just literally just laying there, then I could kind of understand. Then I would kind of get it. Who wins? Who wins what fight? Yeah, but Aaron Blanchfield is known to be like a cardio machine. Like Tatiana, I don't think she has like bad cardio, but at the same time, I don't think she has great cardio. I think it's kind of average. I don't think it's bad though. I think Tatiana Suarez wins that fight by just out wrestling Amanda Lemos, exploiting her weak takedown defense. And I could see her grinding her out to a decision or getting a sub. Weili Val, I got Valentina Shevchenko for the win in that one. Well, let me go to events. Let me pull that fight up on the screen right now since that was mentioned. Upcoming. But yeah, I think Valentina Shevchenko is going to win this fight. I want Weili to win. I want her to, pull off a historic moment, becoming the second two-division champ in WMMA history. And I hope Islam wins at the same time because we've never had two fighters in one event become a double champion. That's like unprecedented history making. But I just think that Valentina, I just think she's the better fighter. I think she's too good technically, better on the feet. She's got the size advantage. Strength, it's really going to depend on how well Weili transfers over from 115 to 125. But for right now, I'm just going to assume that Weili's going to be physically and technically outmatched. She's going to get outstruck. She might get a few takedowns here and there, but she's not going to be able to maintain control. Val will get up. She'll return some of her own takedowns. I think she'll kind of win in similar fashion to how Rose did in the second fight, but more convincingly, like with less controversy, I think. She'll get taken down early, but then she'll survive on the ground and start coming back with her striking in the middle rounds, start defending takedowns, and then like in the late rounds, I think she'll start taking down a tired Weili and just hold her down, kind of like what Rose did. She'll probably finish the fight in top position and win like a clear decision, maybe 49-46 or 48-47. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how Weili responds to that hook. And that hook of Valentina is very lethal. I mean, the way she was stinging Manon with that hook was brutal. Like, she broke Manon's nose with that hook. And she was stinging Grasso with that check hook as well in that third fight. Like, Weili's got to be careful. Because I could definitely see Valentina getting a TKO if she stings Weili enough times in this fight. If Shev is sharp during the whole fight, then yeah, Weili can't do anything. Weili will get countered on the feet a lot. I agree. I don't think the striking is as competitive as people think. I really don't think so. Like Alexa Grasso, not with a Z. Grasso has better hands, better stand up than Weili. Maybe not overall better striking. Like Weili's got good kicks, but Grasso had the boxing technique and the pocket fighting and the fluidity to stand up to Valentina on the feet like no other. That's why Valentina was forced to wrestle as much as she did. I think against Weili on the feet, there's going to be a lot less danger technique-wise. Power-wise, obviously Valentina's got to watch out, but I don't think there's a chance for Weili to go out there and win on the feet the way there was for Alexa Grasso. And I don't think that Valentina is going to need to wrestle as much in this fight as she needed to against Alexa. And the reason for that is because she's not going to get outboxed. There's no risk of if I stand for too long, I'm giving Weili a chance. She is the better striker. Weili's she's too wild. She's too wild. And Valentina, she's too good defensively. Like, I want to pull up their stats, their striking stats. Valentina's got better defense, 63 to Weili's 54. Who do you think's going to land more, and who do you think's going to get hit more in this fight on the feet? It's not going to be Val who's going to be taking all the hits. I'll tell you that much. Like Amanda Nunes struggled to land clean on Valentina and had to kind of kick her at range. But I don't think Weili can do what Nunes did. And I'm yet to see someone go out there and just beat Val by fighting her recklessly. Like, I just don't think that's going to work. And another thing about Weili, there's this misconception about Weili that she's this pressure fighter, that she's this marauder. Weili will fight patience and she'll fight you at a distance. She does not press forward like that. When she fought Thug Rose, there was a lot of distance fighting, a lot of waiting at range. And doing that against Val is going to be a mistake, but also pressing Val probably isn't going to help her because it's going to open her up to counters. And that's why this is such a tricky fight for Weili to win. And that's why I struggle to see how Weili wins this fight. And I question, how does she win? Where does she win? And where is she better than Valentina? Yeah, exactly. She's a counter striker, but she's not going to counter Val. She's not going to counter Val. Val's not going to leave herself open to being countered like that. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, exactly. Yan Xiaonan made her look bad on the feet. Imagine how Val is going to make her look. And honestly, this might sound crazy. This fight might not be as competitive as people are hyping it up to be. Weili has looked dominant against the strawweight she's been fighting, against the level of competition she's been fighting. She's not fought someone as well-rounded or as skilled as Valentina Shevchenko. She's fighting someone who's bigger and who's just as complete as her. And I think that's going to be a problem. Val is going to take Weili down. She takes everyone down. Yep, I agree. I think they'll both exchange takedowns, but I just don't see Weili being dominant in the wrestling like she usually is. And I think that's how she needs to win this fight. I think Val wins dominantly. Same here, brother. Same here. And I want Weili to win. I really do. But I can't be biased. The only times I've ever picked against Shevchenko in the flyweight division was when she fought Tyler Santos. And I felt proud of that pick because even though I got it wrong, it was a very close fight. And how the fight played out is how I knew it would play out. But Valentina, I guess, was more active, did more damage, landed more significant strikes. But I did know that Val was going to get out grappled. And I did say that if someone's going to beat Valentina in this division, it's going to be by out grappling her, dominating her on the ground. And that's what I thought would happen to Val against Santos, and it almost came true, but didn't. Then I picked Alexa Grasso all 3 times. All 3 times they fought. I didn't get the second one. I didn't get the third one, but the first one is what counts. And in the first fight, I picked Alexa Grasso because I saw Valentina was getting predictable in her style. I saw that she started declining, and I knew Grasso was hungry, and I knew Grasso was evolving in her game, and I knew Grasso studied Valentina well enough to where by the time the fight happens, she's done enough homework that I think she'll be good enough to get the job done, and that she'll have Val's game figured out, which was true. It wasn't true in the second or the third fight because Val adapted, but it was true on the first night, and I did get the first one correct. But after that, I picked Val to beat Manon because I knew Manon was not going to be as good on the feet and wasn't going to be able to out-grapple Val. And I'm picking Val in this fight because I know that Weili's not going to be able to out-grapple Val the way she needs to. She's not going to be able to take her down as consistently as she needs to. Okay? And, yeah, I just think that she's, what was I going to say? Yeah, I just think that, she's going to get outstruck. Now, Valentina versus Natalia Silva. That's going to be an interesting one. And that one, I'm more 50-50. And could pick against Val. Weili might be able to reverse Valentina in grappling like Santos did. If she can do that, that's a plus if she can do that. And I hope she can. I just think Chev does her dumb stuff like head and arm throw fail if Weili. Wait, I just think Chev does dumb stuff like head and arm throw fail. If Weili lands in dominant position, it'll be ugly for Chev. Just remember Grasso in the 5th round. That's true. That's true. And Weili could definitely finish her from the back mount. Her ground and pound is more brutal than Alexa, and she could definitely choke out Valentina. Like, I do have Val winning, but I wouldn't be surprised if Weili finished her on the ground. And yeah, Val does make some dumb mistakes, like throwing a spin kick in close range against Grasso in a fight she was winning. And I mean, thank you, Valentina. Thank you for making that mistake because I did pick Alexa and it made me look like a genius. But I did have a feeling that Grasso was going to finish that fight late. My pick actually was Grasso by decision against Val. I actually predicted boldly that she was going to win a dominant decision. Like the way Adesanya Strickland played out, that's how I thought Valentina Grasso would play out. Like we saw round 1, Grasso outboxed her. I thought that was going to be the rest of the fight. I thought Val is going to get pieced up from the first round to the 5th round. Maybe win like one round where she maybe like outstrikes Grasso a little bit or maybe gets one takedown. I didn't expect Val to just completely out wrestle and control Grasso on the ground the way she did in the 2nd and 3rd round, which was frustrating. But I thought that we were going to see Grasso confidently walk down Val and just 1-2 her all night and counter Valentina's counters, which we did see in the first, but I thought we were going to see that for 5 rounds. I didn't think Val would get finished, but I thought she was going to lose by a decision. But then the closer the fight got, I had a gut feeling that Grasso was going to finish her late in the fight. I didn't know how. I didn't predict the sub, but I thought A finish is possible. Val engages everywhere with her opponents. That is true, and she does do it to a fault. Sometimes it works in her favor, but other times it kind of works against her. Like trying to grapple with Tyler Santos was a mistake. And who knows, maybe trying to wrestle with Wei Li could be a mistake, and maybe it could cost her the fight. Val was trying to outmuscle and force Tyler down. She wasn't setting up her takedowns with her striking. You know what? And if she does make that mistake against Wei Li, then that might actually play into Wei Li's favor because I do think Wei Li is a much better wrestler. And Wei Li is very strong. Now, I know I've been saying she might be physically outmatched here, but listen, if Wei Li comes up, she bulks up the right way, and she's not far behind in the strength department. Her wrestling should be effective. And Valentina just trying to muscle down Wei Li could be a mistake and could cost her. Manon was struggling to take down Val, and she's massive compared to Wei Li. That's true. Valentina did show very good takedown defense, and I know that Valentina is going to come prepared to defend takedowns of Wei Li. And it'll be interesting to see if her takedown defense against Manon is going to look just as good against Wei Li. I think Manon and Natalia dominate Wei Li. It's possible. Natalia, I'm not as sure. I could see Wei Li out wrestling Natalia Silva. But on the feet, Natalia beats up Zhang for sure. Now, against Manon, that's a harder fight because Wei Li's not much better on the feet and probably isn't taking her down. I think the striking exchanges actually have potential to be competitive, but eventually Man Furo would take full control on the feet against Zhang, unless Zhang chins her, which is possible because she does have a lot of power. Natalia has good takedown defense. Yeah, she does. That's a good point. But we'll see. Maybe Wei Li might be able to break that barrier and get her down anyway. Oh, really? Did that just get announced? And when are they fighting? And I hope, for the love of God, Macy Barber shows up. But if she pulls out, I don't really care because I don't care about that fight. The Barber fights I really cared about, and I was really pissed when she pulled out, was it was the fights that she had with I was really mad when she pulled out against Rose and Blanchfield. Those were fights I really wanted to see. Barber will get her leg snapped. Oh, that would be so brutal. Um, I think Kayla Harrison's gonna win that fight because Nunes, by the time they fight again, or by the time she fights again when they're fighting in the White House, it'll have been 3 years since she last fought. She'll be 38 years old. Um, I don't know if she's gonna be the same, and I think stylistically, Kayla's a bad matchup for her. If anyone can go out there and not only out wrestle Nunes, but physically like manhandle her, it's Kayla Harrison. But who knows? You can never count out someone as great as Nunes. She could come back and pull a John Jones or a GSP. I'm not going to underestimate her, but I'm probably not going to pick her to win. Exactly. The moment she becomes the nail, it's all her opponent. So, and she's not good off her back, and I think Kayla's going to expose her on the ground. Yeah, dude, that was close. Could you imagine if she actually got that sub? Because so many people give Pena flack for getting subbed by her, but imagine Nunes got subbed. I wonder what these fans would say. I wonder if they'd make excuses for Amanda. No one's a fan of Nunes except Tina. Oh my gosh, Tina is freaking hilarious. She's so easy to trigger. Like it doesn't take a lot to piss her off. All you have to say is, "Oh, if I go and I tell her that Aldana beats Nunes in a rematch, she freaks the hell out." It's so funny. It's so easy to get a rise out of her and rage bait her. She hates BJ because he's a Pena fan. That's hilarious, bro. She definitely hates me too because I'm always like DMing her, telling her that how Aldana's gonna come back and finish Nunes in the rematch, and she always takes it seriously, and she always loses her mind. Oh, dude, she's gonna lose her mind. I keep telling her too that it's gonna happen. Also, there's a fanboy in my DM. I found a 3-year-old message saying, "What now, fanboy? The real queen always comes back." When Juliana lost the rematch to Nunes, bro, he better hope that Nunes beats Kayla because I had that message saved. I'm gonna come back and let him have it if Nunes loses. I don't know anyone who's genuinely a fan of Nunes. You'd be surprised. She's got a lot of fans. All right. Well, I gotta go now, but it's been a fun stream, and I'll try to go live again really soon. Maybe even tomorrow if I have time, or sometime this weekend. But yeah, peace out.